Have you ever done something so stupendously stupid and known better? A few weeks ago, we decided to go through and clear Jasmine's area and give her a raised garden bed. During this process, we moved one of our trees, which was a pear tree, and we decided to put it into the grow tent. This was a massive mistake. We didn't know, but the pear tree had greenfly, which doesn't sound like a big deal, but it absolutely demolished our crops. And I mean, we tried everything. We tried neem oil, we tried literally anything you can think of, and nothing worked. The greenfly actually suck all the sap out of the plant and make it really weak, so it can't, like, it produces diseases and all sorts. This one actually doesn't look too bad, but one place they like to hide is the back of the leaves. So when you are doing the neem oil, you really need to make sure that you're getting the back of the leaves, which I did, but I've never seen such a bad infestation. You can see some things are really badly affected, all stunted and gross and horrid. Leaves have started to fall off. The seed tent was just such a perfect environment for them that they went absolutely mad in there, attacking all the plants, to the point where some plants didn't even have any leaves. So we decided to make the decision to completely, utterly clear out the seed tent. Sweeped it out, bleached it out, everything. We also decided to completely go through all of our pots, empty them all out, obviously. We dumped out all of our soil because greenfly can overwinter in soil. For us, it was devastating. It wiped out everything. All of our crops had leaves curling up and they were dropping leaves. There was no way they would recover. And luckily, we're quite early in the season, so we haven't given up, although we've destroyed all of our crops. And this, basically, I'm going to outline in the next few minutes how we're going to recover from this and make sure it never happens again. Greenfly die if you have contact with bleach. If you leave them for 7 days with no food source, they will also die. So we're going to completely eradicate any food source in here for them, so that when we go to sow our seeds, which will be next week, then hopefully there'll be absolutely nothing for them to overwinter or sustain them in any way. So we're hoping that all of these measures that we've taken is going to be enough to stop them from contaminating anything else. This was devastating for us. To be honest, we had a whole year's worth of crops in there. We had almost 300 tomatoes, we had 50 peppers, etc. I don't just start up seeds for myself, we start them for a good few people. Yeah, it is what it is. We ended up losing a lot of crops because of one silly mistake, which is so silly to me because I genuinely knew better. There's not going to be any sort of reality that I make this mistake again, which is good. And to be honest, I'm very lucky that I'm able to put them lights on 24/7 and catch up with everybody else. If it was later on in the season, would that still be the case? I know what you're saying, why don't we put ladybirds in? The reason why we didn't use ladybugs is because we actually spoke to a company and they basically said that we had to wait 2 weeks for the neem oil to get completely off the plants so that we can use them. The issue with that is that if we waited 2 weeks, the plants would be in an even worse state than before. I don't think that treatment worked.
No? What is this?
Well, look. They're crawling around the side. It's just absolutely riddled. All it is now is sticky. Were we able to save any crops? Well, I'll show you. These are my onions that I have grown from seed. Apparently onions are not affected by greenfly, so I've kind of covered them up because we're still getting, although it's an absolutely gorgeous day today, it's like very warm in the daytime and absolutely freezing at night time. I'm not too sure if they're going to survive because obviously I've just lobbed them out into the cold temperatures. Onions are able to have some light frost but not heavy frost, so fingers crossed they survive. I think this is the worst thing I've ever done to my garden. What about you? And yes, we could have probably done chemical sprays, etc., but to be honest, it got to the point where I'm thinking, how much can we save and how stunted the plants were anyway. It is so disappointing because I've literally loved, nurtured and looked after these plants since Christmas Day. It was the first thing I planted. That's a long, long time. Luckily, whenever my brassicas got to about that big, I was taking them down the greenhouse, so we haven't lost those. I do have Brussels, broccoli, and I have some cabbages down there, but anything that was left in here, including the brassicas, are completely, utterly gone. Skipped, done. All my tomatoes, man. The worst bit is I've actually not got all of the varieties that I sowed. I sowed 138 different varieties, and to be honest, I just don't have all of them seeds again. Does it matter? No, I just really like a pretty basket, so it is what it is. And at the end of the day, as long as I'm feeding my family and we're filling that back up with tomatoes, does it really matter? So we're starting all over again, and I feel good. I feel happy that it's over, and I do feel that I don't ever want to do it again. But at the end of the day, it's one of them things. I could sit here and tell you like, oh, it's done, I'm not doing it anymore, it's completely over. But if you choose to fail, you do actually fail. I'm not choosing to fail. Have I failed? Yes, but I'm not choosing failure. So I'm going to sow it all over again, and it's going to be better and grander and more wonderful than it ever was. But I'm not going to take anything from the garden and put it in my seed tent again because it's just the perfect environment. One thing I'm going to change though, if you do the same thing again and again and again and you expect a different result, then it's just crazy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a really high powered fan in my seed tent. I have an extractor fan, but I'm going to have another fan in there as well. If you disrupt the airflow, it makes it harder for greenfly to catch a hold. And we might go ahead and get some ladybirds later on in the season, just in case I've contaminated outside, which means they can have a lovely time walking around munching on all the greenfly.
Maybe give it another day.
No, as soon as it dries, it's no longer effective.
You said it's sticky.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. That's just unpleasant for us.
Well, then you need to get the ladybirds.
Yeah, I think that's the only way.